Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Georgie's Gundogs at Trails for Tails Dog Training. So in this episode we are learning about the theory before the application of the training. So things to remember, things to be aware of, things to understand of how to basically get the best out of your training session, set you and your dog up for success before your training. So we're going to talk a little bit of theory here because it's important before I get any of the training videos in that you understand the theory and the application and how, so you're ready when I do the demonstrations in the videos, that you will feel ready to understand and how to apply it, and also to how to progress it and go forwards with your training, with whatever you're learning. So we'll start right at the basics. Right, so the first thing, so I'm gonna do it like if I was meeting somebody new who'd never trained before, and these are the things I would talk about before I even started training the dog. Because at the end of the day, to get the best out of the dog, it's the responsibility of the handler to understand what they're wanting to teach, how to set the dog up for success, understand the theory, what the outcome is, what the lookout is, the environment, motivation. All this is what we're going to break down. Okay, we can't just go in and go, right, I'm going to teach that when we don't have the fundamentals in place to teach that dog. Because when it comes to training, I don't train dogs. They're the easy part. I train people. Okay, so this is, again, me so you guys can understand the theory. So the third thing I like to talk about is a lot of people hear me say about a marker word, or you hear about the clicker, which is the same principle as the marker word. So the marker word or clicker for me is a communication tool between me and my dog. So what the marker or the clicker means for dog is if you get that behaviour right, example, if I had the dog to sit, I will mark or click the bum hitting the floor. What happens is the dog becomes conditioned to the marker, because the marker means you've got that right, something good's going to follow. Whether that food, toys, environment, whatever motivates that dog, which we'll talk about separately. But they learn, so example again, if the dog sits or does a stop whistle, I'd say yes, bang, deliver the reward after it, okay? It's important though, with a marker word, you do not use it for attention because it comes extremely powerful. For example, I've seen people with dogs run off, they've gone, oh, I know what I'll do, I'll click or I'll say yes. Well, what you've actually inadvertently done is said to the dog, well done for running off. Yeah, where actually if you'd recalled and the dog had turned, you'd mark it for turning back to you. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. So it's important to always pair with some form of reward. And also it tidies up your training. Now, with markers, it's all about timing. Okay, your timing has to be on point. So like a couple of games you can play before you even have the dog in the picture to get yourself used to the clicker or a marker word, and your timing of what you're looking for is you can play things like, okay, I say to people sometimes, pick a colour on the telly that's going to pop up. Every time you see it, tap your finger. Because you're not affecting the dog then in the learning. The dog doesn't know what's going on. You don't even have to have the dog involved or even in the same room. But you're learning to watch, observe, timing. Another good one is throwing a ball. Can you mark it at the highest point or click it at the highest point? So it gets you observing what you're looking for and your timing, because timing is fundamental in training. Okay, because your timing's off, you'll end up paying for something that you didn't want to pay for. Okay, so what I mean by payment is rewards. So in this little clip, you will see me using the marker word, just example, like I said, a sit. You will see that when Sid sits, I say yes, and I deliver the reward. Okay, so here's that video. Sit, yes. Sit, yes. Sit, yes. Good boy. Okay, so next we are going to go on about rewards. So what are rewards? Rewards to a dog is whatever motivates them at that time or in that environment. Now, there is different types of rewards. There's different values of rewards. Okay. So you've got your low values and your high values, but that's dependent on each dog. What might be low value to one dog might be high value to another. So you have to really go out before your sessions and discover what your dog loves, what your dog's not so keen on, what absolutely blows your dog's brain, because some rewards can actually be too rewarding. So you have to go through this with your dogs again before you take them out to the learning process. So what type of rewards are there? There's food and there's different values of food, okay? So you've got from your kibble to your dinner, to your cheese, to your chicken, to your pates. There's such a variety out there. You need to go and discover what they like. Now, with food, it's not all about the taste. People think the dog's motivated by taste. Not always. There are some breeds that would be very driven by the taste, but some, they like food, but it's how you deliver it with any reward. So for me, I like to throw, I like to chase, I like them get to chase it, to catch it, to snuffle it out. There's different ways. Some do just like straight to mouth, but you have to find and play games with your dog and discover what they like with how you deliver that reward. And how you deliver that reward in training sessions is also important. Okay, which you'll see in training videos, how I deliver things. Some things I need to deliver. Somewhere the placement of the food is important, the placement of the reward is important, just as much as what you're teaching in that behaviour. Then you've got toys and stuff. You've got tug toys, you've got balls, you've got varieties, things they can chase, things that you can stuff food in and whatever. There's a million things out there, you see. So again, it's finding what that dog likes and how you deliver it. A lot of these toys you need to play with even before you use a reward, because sometimes you can actually, with dogs who you think are not so keen on it, you have to sometimes build a value in that reward, a value in food, a value in the toy, a value in the environment. It's sometimes people say, well, not a toy. Maybe because you haven't built value in it, maybe because you haven't engaged with the dog with that reward, how it might actually perceive how it wants the reward. And rewards are fundamental in training. It's like us. I always say to people, especially around food, I don't get paid to work. I don't work for free. Everything in life we do that we're driven and motivated by is because there's something that's going to reinforce us to keep doing that. You go to work every day because you know the paycheck's at the end. Yep. You keep eating something because you know you're getting the satisfaction and you keep going with that. All right. You might, example, if you were learning your driving test, you keep going to the instructor, you keep going to learn, and every time somebody says well done, it drives you even more. But the reward would be you get to have a driving license at the end. There's a million things. Okay, I'm getting into it quite deep there, but there's always something in life motivating us and also dogs. And to increase them behaviours and get them behaviours to repeat and good behaviours to repeat, we have to pay the dog. We have to reward the dog. The more you reward them, the more they will deliver. Okay. And also, it's when you have that relationship where you are delivering a high rate of reward and everything like that, you'll have a stronger bond as well. Okay. And all this communication, you start understanding your dog, you understand each other. Now, don't get me wrong here. This is important. I don't pay for bloody crap either. Because sometimes people just pay for anything. No, I do not do that. So it's important you pay for what you're looking for. Just don't pay anything. Or I don't like it when people, let's say, example, the dog's recall and not come back and then they say, what's this? Well, what happens is with the what's this is you're just inadvertently paying for them ignoring you. You're saying, well done for ignoring me. Now I'm getting the treats out to bribe you in. That's bribery. It's a very different thing, bribery. But either way, you're still saying to the dog, well done for ignoring me. And now the big pot of treats waving at you. So the dog's going to keep doing it, isn't it? Yeah. Instead of learning that skill of the recall, then you get paid. Yeah. Because bribery, there's luring, which is very different, which is luring dog into positions, helping him out, which you then fade out the food or the reward or the toy or whatever it is. So there's a million things you have to be aware and prepared to do. And what is that dog motivated by? And like I said, delivery, find out what they like. Mine like chasing, like tugging. You know, different breeds also will have a genetic and an instinct that you need to tap in. Because like I said previously in another video, when I'm training that dog, I look at the dog in front of me, I look at the breed, I look at what I think they're going to be motivated by, and I tap into it. You know, I tap into the chase, I tap into the catch, I tap into the retrieve element. You know, like retrievers, people think they're foodie. Well, not when they get retrieving. They probably want another retrieve behind them after they've delivered that retrieve. Some of them I've seen spit food out. Yeah, so it's all depends on the dog. You have to find what they're motivated by. So let's move on to, okay, well, you say, well, they like that there, but they don't do it here. So again, with the rewards, what will work in the house might not work outside a full of birds. So you're going to have a reward system that you need to learn. So the kibble might work in the house, because I see it a lot. People think because the kibble works in the house, they can turn up in the field and the dog's going to be into the kibble. Well, you're outweighing scent, you're outweighing smells, you're outweighing noises, everything, where you have to think the environment in the house is quiet, it's not distracting. Of course they're going to be more likely motivated by that because there's nothing else going on. When you get out there, especially with your working dogs, you've got to outweigh all that, and the hunting dogs especially. So you need to find different rewards from things. It depends what's on it. You know, some like tug, some like chase. How does the reward feel if you like toys? Some prefer fur. You know, it all depends on the dog. Some like environment. I train my old boy Barry. You know, majority of the things I trained because he loved the environment. He liked hunting. So I was like, well, if you offer me A, B, and C, I will give you some hunting. I will give you some scent work. It's whatever that dog is motivated by. And this is so important because people come with the same stuff all the time. The dog's like, yeah, you've got to have your ups and downs. Then you also have the what. Also, when you, this is another thing I need to not forget. Don't train your dog on an empty stomach either. Come into classes or come into training situations, they can't train on an empty stomach because it usually overrides what they learn. It's too much. They just fixate then on the food. You want still a fairly full stomach, okay? Especially hunting breeds, I find they hunt harder when they're empty. Yeah. Also, you can have too valuable. So you can have an environment that's too quiet, but you've gone and put sausages or something in a really boring environment. Dog's blown by it. So you have to balance that reward with that environment. So if I'm not as a stimulant, I'm not going to bring in the big sausages in my kitchen. I'll probably blow the dog's head off. And actually, it will be more manic and not functioning and not using its brain properly because it's just, Well, I'll go, right, well, I'm in a quiet environment. I don't need it to be as mad or valuable. So think about your rewards, okay? Yes. Good boy. Good boy. Good lad. Come. Thank you. Yes. Good lad. Good boy. City. Yes. Good boy. Yay. Good lad, Sue. Let's get on to environment. So when you're first learning with dogs, when you're wanting to take them out to learn the behavior, I always say to people, in an hour, in my class, you will not be able to do it everywhere. You have to build in the layers. You have to start in the least distracted environment you possibly can. Okay. And that's where you start training these little behaviors, what you're learning first. Then when you have proved it in that behavior, when you have proved it in that behavior, then you move on to an environment that's maybe a bit more challenging. On the way, remembering to change your reward system. So you might say, right, I've done the kitchen, right, I'll go to the garden, and then I'll go out onto the front, or I'll go to a boring football field. And here's why. Because dogs are not natural generalizers. Yep, they're not like me and you. We can clap in that one room. Right, I've learned to clap, I can clap anywhere. Not dogs. Because they take in it so much different to us. And we have to go out and prove in different areas, like I'll repeat again, a different reward system for that different area. Yep. I will start off in really boring and I'll build the dog up. And what I'm doing by that is I'm setting that dog up for success. Also, there might be times you get to that environment they're not ready for. Whatever reward you've got, you might have to go back a few stages. And that's another thing. It's okay to go back. The dog might not be ready for that. Yeah. So go out there and build it up. Build in them layers. Set your dog in that environment up for success. Don't think because your dog can do it in the living room, it can do it in the middle of a shoot. No. Yeah. Layer after layer after layer. And there will be times your journey won't go like that, like I said in the previous video with your training. It's just feedback. Always note what you've learned in your training. Note what you've learned, what rewards you used, how you delivered it, was your timing okay? Film yourself. That filming's a really good one because you can look back at where you might have gone wrong or what was actually spot on, how the dog was working. You can get feedback because sometimes when we're in that zone of just us and the dog, we forget and we can miss things. Also, think about what you're paying for. You'll see something, why did I pay for that? It's a big crap, wasn't it? You know, especially in the early learning, you are really heavy with your payment. But when they start getting harder, you have to be strict on your criteria. And that's another thing, criteria. What are you really wanting from that dog? What is your criteria in that training session? That is just as important. Yeah. Make a little mini plan. Sometimes we won't have a plan, but if you don't have a plan, just pick about 2 to 3 behaviors. Don't push it. Also, you have to also, this is another thing you need to remember the dog's age, what stage of it is in its life, are they fully fit, what's the emotional state of that dog, because people forget all that. Young puppies, little and often. Go out and do our sessions with puppies, you'll blow your puppy's brain and you'll probably get a million one behaviour problems. Hence, play biting. Adolescents, hormones. You have to take that in consideration. There'll be days where they're just not in the mood because the hormones are ranging, the head's all over this place. You have to be. Mine's 11 months, my youngest at the moment. There are days he's like on it, and I can see there's days where his hormones are kicking in a little bit. And I have to take the pressure off. How is your dog in environments? How are they emotionally? Are they a confident dog? Are they overconfident? Are they this, they that? These are things. Are they ready? Are they too manic to work? Do they need to work on calming first? There's a million things you have to take consideration. Then you have to look at the pain factor. Is your dog a fully fit dog? Because some behaviours can not always work, or training, because there can be an underlying things going on. So it's always worth knowing your dog is fully fit. Now, majority of you will be watching this will be saying, well, my dog is. But there'll be times you pick up on certain behaviours you might be doing. The dog doesn't look quite comfortable. I'll never forget, I was teaching a dog directions, and it could do this one direction really well. The other one, Labrador, fooling around like mad. Now, in Labradors, it's quite common for them to jump up and fool around, especially when they're under pressure or feeling a little stressed in the situation. It just did not want to go to the left. And I watched it. We did another exercise, and I noticed it went on the same leg to the right. Well, I reckon, I was right, that dog had troubles with its shoulder. Yeah. Just slightly off balance, needed a bit of physio. See what I mean? Where some people would have said it's ignoring, it's not listening, it's messing about. It wasn't comfortable physically. So always make sure you take everything considerate. You're probably thinking very complex, but training is complex, and setting the dogs up for success and the best learning is important. So knowing all the factors, I have to read every dog's in my field. If a dog's not right or something's I have to analyse. Is this right to ask for that behaviour at this moment? Does that dog need a chat? And then I also make sure I've got different type of rewards with me, so I can show the owners different ways to deliver. Looking at the brain. What are you doing? Little one digging. What are you doing, Baba? What are you doing? So yeah, you have to set up. Yeah, every time I go into a session with my dogs, I set up, and you will see anyway, I'm going to put some videos through anyway of me delivering different rewards and setups and stuff in this, because I want you to see obviously about the rewards. But like I said, that will come. But we need to get back to setting your dog up for success. That's another thing. You know, if you train it and plan your session right, then you should set yourself up and the dog for success, to have success. And don't overcook the egg. Do not hammer your dogs. That's another thing you have to take in consideration, is they will get mentally tired. And if they're not used to it, you have to build that mental endurance up. Just like you do if you were running a marathon, you have to build endurance. So when you're first starting out, and you haven't done training before, and like I said, from the age groups of what they are, you have to take that little and often first. Build them up, get them used to it. You can't go out an hour a day, you'll break your dog. And then you're walking on top. That's if you always walk your dog. Yeah. Then you have to take in consideration your breeds and certain things when they're learning certain things. So if, example, let's say I've been on a walk for him and he's had a real blast, I know the next day I'll have to take it easy, or if I've done a hard training session that day, the next day he'll probably do less, or I might even give him a day off. Sometimes you have to give your dog a day off. That's right. They don't need to be walked and trained every day. A day off is important because they get time to sleep. They get time to, it's just like us. We couldn't do exam. We couldn't do full on schoolwork 7 days a week, full on work 7 days a week. We need a day to recuperate. We need a day to process things. It's the same with our bloody dogs. Yep. So take that into consideration all the time, that they're resting. I always look at what they've done. Right, he's done this, he's done that. Right, well, he can rest tomorrow, or he can have a day off, he can have a blast that he's done a lot this week. I always take it in consideration. Even on the walks, what they're learning. You know, example, by accident, if your dog has a chase, well, dopamine's released. Before you know it's 92 hours, you have to let that dog come down, because the next day you try and learn in that same environment, the dog's going to go for the same thing again. You've got to think about these things. Yep. So like I said, it's really important with all your training to make the setup right before the application. Don't just go out there willy-nilly and go, well, I've seen this video, I've been... Make sure you have the understanding of the theory. Make sure you have the understanding of the whole picture of the dog's learning. Make sure you're in the right rewards. What's the motivation? What's my environment? How's the dog in itself? Yeah, and you've got exercises that'll show you that you can see how the dog's headspace is at, which we'll do down the line. So that's a little bit of the theory, and like I said, through this you'll see snippets of me delivering a little bit of simple things, like I said, with the rewards and stuff. But yeah, set your dog up for success, set yourself up for success, know your theory. If you want any questions or ask me any questions or anything before you start and how you do stuff, please send a message, send it in. All right. So that is, thank you for joining me on episode 3. That is theory before application.